Hamad asks, Hamad talks about pacing in narrativist RPG campaigns, and poses the problem of players who don't feel they have time to organically grow into their characters' drama and their story arch, and what he can do about that. There have been a number of good responses. The two that stand out in my head are Runeslinger's the use of silence, just passing on the spotlight to the players and have them interact and not be worried about driving on the plot or story yourself. The other one that struck me was Samuel G. Samuel G. emphasized that it shouldn't be so much about story and should be more about character. Hamad says that he likes to pace his campaigns like they're a TV season, but in any TV season except maybe horror, there is a lot of time. There's a lot of time devoted to the main characters, more than to the main villain, or possibly even to the general plot. So use Runeslinger's tactic, allow your players the time to develop their characters. But from your 30-minute high energy rumination on pacing, etc., I get the impression you are a driven, story-driven, and high-energy kind of GM, and this is almost your natural character, and you can't really change that kind of thing too much. You can make little changes, but I wouldn't try to completely change the style of your campaigns. Keep them high-energy and plot-driven, but pause them to allow the characters time to develop. Specifically, in a TV series, introductions. Episode 1 is perhaps the most important for introducing characters. First impressions are the strongest. Allow your group a chance to bind and get to know each other realistically. Don't allow your, this is probably speaking to the converted, but don't allow your players to introduce them to tell the others what they're going to be playing. Only allow them to describe what the others would see. First, I'd suggest start with an encounter, a typical encounter, to create the scene or the atmosphere of the kind of campaign, a flavor of the campaign you're trying to develop. For example, the first scene in Game of Thrones was north of the Wall. The Night Watch encountered a White Walker. It's one of the central themes of the campaign, and establish that, but you'd have the player characters involved in that, and it wouldn't be until after that first scene comes to an end that they'd even learn each other's names, maybe, and would get the first hints of what their character is like. But you said in the thing that you only sort of once every 3 sessions or so give them time to just relax in their home base or somewhere and just do in-character things. Once every 3 sessions, as a player, I couldn't wait that long. I would need to establish my character the moment we get a breather. The moment I can start interacting or speaking to any of the other players, even in action. Anytime the spotlight is on me, I am role-playing, I am narrating, and I am throwing in hints of a past and future and hidden things and what they see on the surface. And experienced narrators, experienced describers will do the same. If you've got experienced players, good players at at Narrative, you've got it made. Just hand it over to them. If you haven't, you need to develop them. Give them clear instructions. Tell us, instead of just saying what do you do, say what do we see, and what do you tell me the race, sex, and the main descriptive feature of your character, and what they are doing and how they are doing it. And so the person has clear guidelines on what to narrate at this time, and then the action's finished. You've defeated the first threat. You look around, and during this excitement, 3 or 4 other individuals have distinguished themselves. Your eyes first fall on, and you pass on the focus, and pass on the spotlight. Make it clear who the spotlight is. You are the GM. If they're experienced, you can just leave them to decide where the spotlight goes, but make sure people get a balance of the spotlight. It will never be perfectly balanced, but make sure it moves around, and there are spotlight hogs. Don't let them hog it. I'm probably speaking to the converted here. You look like you've got 1,000 subscribers. I'm sure you've done this before, but these are my this is my experience, my tips on how to give time and use it efficiently to establish character. Another thing that I really enjoy when I'm playing it is if I or any of the other players want to say something, want to throw in a character moment, immediately stop. Don't try and go over the top of them. With a bit of time, you might know people. You might come to recognize people that just like hearing their own voice, and you will need to stop those. But if somebody's going to add something, invite it. Give them time to develop their character, and then move on. The moment that they've finished exchanging their wedding vows, attack. Then you, by establishing character, you've raised the tensions and raised the involvement of everybody involved in the next scene, whatever the next bit of action. And remember that things to character development moments are not just sitting around the campfire. It's interactions. There's often some action going on. People are never just sitting around a campfire. People are sitting around a campfire in a certain way. There will be one further off. One will be standing up, going through his weapons cutter or whatever it is. Everyone reacts in a different way. One person is scratching his belly and belching. Just sitting is a way of establishing character. Ordering a meal in a tavern, people will order different things. What they order reveals character. Approach them with NPCs, how they react to NPCs. It doesn't need to be an important encounter, but it's flavor encounters to reveal parts of their character, or to re-establish, re-strengthen. Give them moments to just show off their characters. Ask for a donation to charity or to a church. They're staying at a farm, and the old lady demands that they scrub up for dinner, and then tries matchmaking them with her daughters. How does each member of the group react? They meet an old colleague or somebody who they trained with, a homeless child impressed with the group, wants to idolizes one of them and wants to join the adventuring party, but he's obviously much too young. How do they react to a child? They see an omen or something symbolic which could be interpreted. Do any of them try interpreting some omen from the gods or something like that? A hag offers to read their futures. Throw things at them which don't necessarily move the plot on, but give them something to chew on and reveal character through, rather than just sitting around and talking. Sometimes it's easier to talk about something than it is just to talk. And but don't be afraid to push things on either. This is something you've done, but do allow them those moments of quality. I'm a teacher. In the immersive method we use, it suggests that the teacher talks for a maximum of 50% of the time. Idea to try and bring into your gaming sessions, allow them to talk for 50% or more of the time, and see how, if you hand over the a lot of the control to the players, character will inevitably come out. Anyway, my name's Caius. I love role-playing games, and I hope to see you in one in the future.